Hey there. I wanted to unload a little bit about some things that have been bothering me. What's been bothering me has a lot to do with validation and with frustration and with what other people have to say about what I feel and what I am. And it deals a lot with the Transgender Day of Remembrance that's coming up on the 20th. And this all kind of got catalyzed by a news article I read. Recently in Syracuse, a trans woman was murdered. And the news articles about it consistently aren't consistent. And they switch back and forth between referring to her as a gay man and as a transsexual, but they always use he, and they're like, he had relationship with men, and he dressed in women's clothing, although, and he was referred to by his family and friends as she, and her name was Tish. Like, maybe you should call her then, and mention that she's transgender. Maybe if she identifies as female, she's not a gay man, you know? And it's really upsetting for me. This blatant show of, well, I construe it as disrespect, but it could be misunderstanding. But really, you could take like 5 fucking minutes to wiki that shit and get a basic understanding of, well, maybe we should use more respectful language. It's not actually that hard. And I feel like what it comes down to a lot is people feeling like they know the truth about a person, and that that person's physical sex is the truth of that person. And you're not a real woman, or a real man, or a real whatever, until that sex is whole and hale and or that because it's a newspaper article, well, people aren't gonna understand if we refer to her as her. We have to point out that it's a gay man. Well, you can take like 2 seconds. Actually, you don't need to take any time. Be like, she was killed because she's transgender. Like, it's not that fucking hard. I don't know, I'm a little heated. And that bothers me a lot. And it got me thinking about instances like that, where there's that lack of validation and that lack of understanding or even lack of respect that happened to me. And like, one thing that has happened recently that really stands out for me, it has actually happened over a period of time but has come to a head. I have a professor, and he consistently uses me as an example in class, which is awkward to begin with. But then he uses me as an example of how, like, cultures don't accept certain traits, and that cultural selection acts on whether or not something is adopted. And he uses, like, my name change. And the way he framed it was, well, Kai has changed her name and asks to be known in this way, and we could just reject that, and like, she wouldn't be able to affect that. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, and he would, it's a small classroom, and he like turns to me and is like, yeah, you understand how that works? And I'm like, I know. It's it's too fucking early in the morning for me to deal with this shit right now. It makes me feel so singled out and so awkward. And I thought, maybe this was just me. Maybe I'm being a little oversensitive or something. you know. But then my classmates will come up to me, because almost all of my classmates know about my gender identity and why I changed my name. And I've explained these things to my professor before. And they're like, dude, that's not cool. I'm so sorry that happened to you. He's a dick. No names. Sorry. Stuff like that. And it does make me feel better. But, recently, I work with the professor that I have this problem with, and, I had to, have him clarify some things. What I do is I take maps that students made during our field school, and I draw them on the computer, and I compile these maps into one cohesive whole, one picture of the feature, blah blah blah. Archie lingo. And sometimes they don't match up. There's an instance, and I go in, we talk about it, students are stupid, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, this was done by, you really would have liked her, she was a lesbian. And I'm like, okay. And then he goes on to tell me, there's this one time, it was just so funny. She was so offended because she was going around and taking pictures of women's tattoos, and then was like, because she likes tattoos, and was like, oh, I'm so sketchy, I'm the Great Dyke of the Scioto River Valley, and this person got so offended, and ha 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 ha. I was just like, and